I think the story of the day, guys, what do you think? Oregon? I think it's got to be Oregon football.
Yeah.
Ari, you wrote a column about it. My keyboard was still smoking after editing it. But it was rational, and I mean, you were passionate about it. Why don't you kind of share with the kind of the folks what you wrote about?
And we're still like waiting for Peyton Bowen to sign, and I do think that we should be high alert that like if Peyton Bowen, who announced for Oregon a flip out of Notre Dame's class, and to Oregon over Oklahoma, who also was involved here, ends up signing with Notre Dame tomorrow, that would probably go down in the list of signing day things that we would write a story about in 10 years from now about how that all played out. But the Oregon Ducks got, I think, 6 players on Wednesday, 3 of whom were 5-star prospects, 5 of whom were fringe top 100 players or better. And they still are technically alive, from what I understand, for David Hicks, who has a signing on Friday, who's a 5-star prospect who's committed to A&M. So, like, my whole thing was, this is incredible. Look what they're doing. They've got a great class, and everybody that wasn't an Oregon fan in my mentions was talking about cheating and Texas A&M 2.0, and this team isn't. This
Or
is
you're not allowed to get really good players if you're not one of the teams that already gets really good players. You're not allowed to do that.
And
Dave,
culture was a word. Culture was a word that was used a lot in your comments.
And I got to get credit to David Ubben, because we were texting about it before I wrote it, and the way he put it was SEC on the West Coast, and people don't like that, And it's like, I don't know if Oregon's class in totality can match up with an SEC class right now. Well, most of them, not Alabama's and Georgia's, but it wasn't so much who they have or how they've recruited in the past. It was more about the ruthlessness of how they did it, and doing it at the end of the thing.
Mario Cristobal wasn't ruthless also.
No, I know, but like to get 3 5-star prospects on signing day is not a very Pac-12 thing to do. I think we can agree on that. And if you think about the programs that Oregon beat out in the process, they got the best of Notre Dame, they got the best of Oklahoma, Ohio State, USC, LSU, and a few others. And it was just like, you're flipping a kid from LSU on signing day. You're flipping a kid from Notre Dame who also has big interest in NIL rumors with Oklahoma. I mean, you're doing something. So, the thing that I think we all have to remember, and the reason why I like the Dan Lanning hire to begin with, is you're talking about a head coach who comes from a background that involves winning national championships and building national championship caliber rosters. That same coach played against his old team in his first game as a head coach this year and got his doors blown off in a way that I'm sure he probably saw coming, because he understands the difference. And I'm not sure that Dan Lanning deserves all the credit in the world for what happened here today. Obviously, NIL had to have played some sort of part here with some of these guys making this last-second decision, but to win the recruiting battle for Mateo Uiagalelei and to flip 4 guys in the same day, 3 of which were 5-star prospects, and still have a chance to flip somebody from A&M, like that was like big-time NIL era recruiting at its finest, and that's going to make some people uncomfortable, and people don't like that.
As Brian in the chat points out, he says it has more to do with Oregon poaching A&M's recruiting staff than cheating. Marshall Malkow, the chief of staff at Oregon, was in the same role at Texas A&M.
Yeah,
as they assembled last year's.
And the thing that really blows my mind, guys, and I'd like to hear your opinion on this, is like we're talking about a program who is 2 days removed from losing a 5-star quarterback that was supposed to cripple their build.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if it was all NIL and it's all Nike and nothing else matters, they don't have good recruiters, they don't have a coach who gets it, they don't have a great recruiting staff, then like, why didn't they get the guy that everybody wanted? So I really like what I'm seeing from them, and it gives you, if you said a year from now or a year ago that a year from now we'd be talking about Dan Lanning doing what Mario Cristobal did, wouldn't you feel a great deal of relief? Because he has the background, but the fact that he was able to execute it and get these guys in the fold. And Austin Novosad too. Like, you lose your quarterback and then 2 days later replace him with a guy who lit up the Elite 11.
Yeah, that's what's going to be my point. The response, because a couple days ago it looked like it was falling apart, and then I think it was late last night. You kind of got word that Austin Novosad, a kid that you've written about, you saw him at the Elite 11. Not just a Baylor commit who's climbed the rankings, but who Ohio State really wanted, who Notre Dame really wanted, and
who Will Stein,
recommitted.
A&M really wanted.
Yeah,
Will Stein, Oregon's new offensive coordinator, who came from UTSA, really knew.
Yeah, and he recommitted to Baylor after Baylor had to sweat it out this summer, recommitted, and so Baylor's been operating this whole season as if they've got their quarterback, and they wake up, or last night they find out he's gone. So it's just. it's a tough world out there, and great get for Oregon. He's not ranked as high as Moore is, obviously, but obviously they like him, and a lot of really, really good programs liked him.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is that like they took punches from the NIL cheaters of last year, and Baylor withstood it. And if Texas A&M is the punching bag for everybody who thinks that NIL is cheating, then it obviously wasn't enough to get A&M to get this kid. So was it all NIL? I'm sure it was part of it, but like they did a good job too. So, I think if you like, I'm going to write a winners and losers column. I don't know if Mitch is going to be on vacation when I write it or not. But
I'm not, Andy, by the way, I'm not allowed to like leave or go anywhere if Ari wants to work. So
is it the early signing period?
It is.
Would you take an 8-hour drive on the early signing period if you were the National Recruiting Writers editor?
It's supposed to snow, huge snowstorm up in Michigan, so I don't want to risk my life on Friday for you, Ari.
I'm kidding, but when you go through the winners and losers of the day, it's undeniably Oregon and everybody else, right? Like Alabama got 2 5-star prospects.
Alabama's, and they're still in for Desmond Ricks too. So
yeah.
Georgia, the reigning national champs, that's probably about to win a second consecutive national championship. They did okay too.
Hey, watch your mouth. TCU's in their way.
Yeah, but one thing, Ari, Jorian Dickey, the wide receiver, has evidently not signed either. So
so we'll see how it all
as great as things are going.
Yeah.
There's still some, I don't know if negotiating is the right term, whatever.
But the thing about it to me though, like, everybody always says I'm overreactionary. So you guys put me in my place if I'm being overreactionary. It isn't even the. It isn't even the result of it. It's how it happened and the ability to recruit with the big boys at that level in such a. It kind of reminded me of the Breaking Bad prison scene when Walter White needed those 6 guys to disappear. They disappeared. They all took care of it. You know what I mean? And like being able to just be on that plane is an encouraging thing for the long-term future of a program that's going to have to recruit a certain way. So. And Jurian Dickey, they're saying in the comments, has officially signed with Oregon. So that's one less thing that we have to worry about as it pertains to Oregon's class. I got to say, it's a lot to keep track of everything that happens in this day. So thank you, Mitch and Andy, for helping us put it in perspective. But Oregon would be my number one winner.